This interview is going to be pretty good because I think this is my first interview that I'm doing with anyone that's building on Midnight, and everyone's quite excited about this. And I'm quite excited about what you guys are building here, the team from Atlas, with all these different DeFi yield strategies, and it's just opening up a lot more opportunities for people. So Apex, CJ, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, thank you so much, Pete. You've been around for a long time, and it's about time that we hopped on.
No, it's good to have you guys here for sure. Now, I'd love to learn a little bit about your backgrounds and how you got into the crypto space and started building on Cardano. So, Apex, should we start with you first?
Yeah, for sure. So, my background is I graduated from law school, so I've got a law degree. After I graduated, I was just kind of working in a lot of management and supervisory roles and stuff. A lot to do with business and that kind of stuff. And in around 2019, early 2019, I was looking at YouTube, and I found out about that Charles Hoskinson's famous whiteboard video, right, about Cardano. So then I started digging deeper, because at that time already I was I'm late to Bitcoin, I'm late to Ethereum and stuff. So let me hop on the Cardano. So managed to get quite a large amount of Cardano at 2 or 3 cents or something.
Wow.
And 2021 came, hopped on into the NFT scene. So in other words, I've been part of the Cardano since the beginning. I've been building on Cardano since 2021. Started with the NFTs, then we built a DP and aggregator project with the Titans, and then from there, fast forward 2025, we're into protocol building now with Atlas. It's been quite a wild ride. Seen it all. I know most of the people inside the Cardano ecosystem, most of the devs, most of the founders. There's a lot of people that have come and gone, but if you want to be a real builder, you have to stick around when the times are the toughest, right? And I think that's a large differentiating factor between people who want to become successful and people who are just kind of
It's interesting to see that progression, you going from just being a holder, then jumping into the NFT space, dabbling around with that, and then going on with the Titans, building up what they're doing, and then now onto your own project. So it's nice to see that progression and development in the space. And I have to say, it's quite a change from management and law. It's a very big change there.
Yeah.
So CJ, how about you? How did you get into the space?
Yeah, I mean, crazy story. So I'm actually a game designer by trade, graduated from a game design school and looking for in the midst of COVID. So, of course, that was an awful time for the industry, awful time for every industry, needless to say. And so I got picked up actually by Apex for a game design or gamification design job on the initial House of Titans project when it was more NFT gamification. And from there, game design as an industry and as a holistic practice is very open-ended. There's a lot of different skills that you learn, and it seemed to mesh very well. I've always been very interested in crypto, just as a technology and seeing how different applications can be there. And so it was a super exciting prospect to be working on something that was getting so popular at the time, but also but also on the ground floor of this pioneering new industry. So I've been with them throughout the NFT collection, through spearheaded the NFT development for the strongholds, did a lot of the token design for the Titan token, and now from there we're now working on Atlas and continuing documentation, technical stuff on that front, and marketing is a lot of the work now. So yeah, just been kind of all ready and rearing with the Titans team throughout the entire period, and it's been a great opportunity to help out and build something really meaningful and really awesome in this space. It's
good that you could transition from the gaming industry over to crypto. I think that's a good movement, change career there for sure. And Titans is an awesome project. They're so underrated. I don't think they get enough attention for what those guys are building. And
you're telling us.
Cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what exactly is Atlas? What are you guys building here? What problems are you solving in the crypto space?
One of the main problems that we see in DeFi today is that a lot of staking yields are trapped. They're like locked, illiquid, unusable, and it makes it very hard for people to gain access to this locked amounts. Like we have a lot of whales in the ecosystem that just have significant portions of ADA just sitting in stake pools and earning their profits independently, but not being able to be used in the rest of the ecosystem, which makes it, while there's a lot of capital, there's not much movement with that. And so we took inspiration from platforms like Pendle on Ethereum or Spectra Finance as well, that with the concept of yield tokenization. And that pretty much means that we can separate the yield, so how much an investment would earn, from the principal or the ownership of that investment. So the example, think of it like a fixed term bond or a loan, where if you have like $100, let's say US, in a loan, and you would get 10% APR on that investment. That means that the principal is 100. That's the ownership. That's the initial investment, and the yield would be 10% of that, or $10. And so Atlas allows you to split that yield from any type of yield-bearing asset, whether it's native ADA, which is going to be part of our MVP, or scaling to any other yield-bearing asset, RWA, or anything, or frankly, in the future, possibly even NFTs as a yield-bearing asset. Anything that generates sustainable returns is something that we can be calculated to determine how much we can. It will be able to generate over time, and then you can transfer that. And so that opens up a whole new set of different tools and abilities that you can use in the DeFi space, given that people are now have to give up their stake positions to transfer liquidity, and now that doesn't have to be the case. You can give up a portion of it, or give up your staking rewards to get in on a new mint, get in on this. And so there's a lot of cool utility that can come from this, and we've seen the value that brings to an ecosystem. I mean, Pendle being the example, they made like 80 billion in different
wow.
In different trades over the past few years. So there's clearly a market for it. So even if we're able to capture like a small percentage of that market in a smaller pool like Cardano, it means immediate returns and liquidity for the entire ecosystem. And moving to Midnight, the main reason that we're on that hype train, I guess, but also that we believe in the overall vision, is because it solves a key issue that even Pendle hasn't solved up to this point, and that's privacy-focused avenues for institutional level investors to get in on the crypto ecosystem. There's a lot of regulatory hurdles for larger yield investments to have to make when they're going into a fairly new area like crypto, and a privacy-focused chain that makes sure that you're shielded from people that are trying to copy your strategies or trying out new financial instruments. Midnight provides us the avenue to open up yield tokenization to the entire world and anyone that wants to give it a try. And I mean, Knight's doing very well right now, and obviously we're not blind to that, but that also gives us a lot of cross compatibility with different chains, and it allows us to scale far beyond the bounds of what we were initially looking at with just Cardano. So we're super excited for Atlas all in all.
Really exciting to hear all that. And I'll go into a little bit more about the Midnight side of things, but going back to examples of splitting the principal and the yield. So essentially, if we look at the example of ADA staking rewards, so you'll be splitting ADA into a principal and yield, and do we get like tokens out of this or something, or how's the mechanics there work?
Yeah. So without diving in too technically, but I'll give as best of a summary as I can. Our development team at Firework and us have kind of created this standardized yield layer. So it's pretty much, think of it as an interface for any type of yield-bearing asset to interface with the Atlas platform. It's called CSY currently, and we're looking at a better name when it transfers to Midnight, but CSY stands for Cardano Standardized Yield. And in essence, that means that it allows us to abstract the different APYs that different yield sources would generate and put it all under a similar roof that Atlas can read and track and price out. So in essence, yes, if you're staking Cardano or staking ADA, that fixed yield would be able to be calculated by the Atlas platform, and then it would split it into two tokens: a PT or a principal token, again representing the ownership, and a YT or a yield token representing the yield that investment or that pool would generate. And so, as the example was before, if you have 100 at 10%, that 10% or $10 would be the YT and 100 would be the PT. And the PT generally appreciates in value as it reaches maturity because these are fixed term bonds. And so if you have a let's say, without diving too deep into the math because it gets kind of complicated under the hood. But as you initially meant, your PT and YT can be combined into one CSY, which can be redeemed for one ADA at immediately upon splitting your token. But after the maturity period, the YT that has paid its value into the holders or whoever owns the YT at the time will be worth nothing after, let's say, a 12-month period. And the PT will now be worth the total price of the 100, let's say, as the pricing value plus the 10% YT. So it will be worth 100 and equal to the amount that you would have had if you had staked it initially. So it provides immediate liquidity as opposed to having to wait for those 12 months that you would have had to do in prior past, allowing for immediate liquidity across the ecosystem as opposed to having to wait.
Gotcha. Okay. I could see this going into like real world assets as well, like especially once you have the Midnight compatibility with the privacy side of things, going into tokenizing property and earning the yield off like Airbnb rentals and stuff like that. Are you looking at that type of future? Because that kind of idea excites me as well.
Yeah, 100%. So the current idea is to start off with ADA, and the simple reason is because everybody has ADA, right? So that means that everybody is our target audience at the beginning, and then because that enables everyone to test out the platform, then they can start imagining like, oh, you know what if they integrate some, deep-in tokens, or what if they do RWA and stuff? So, that's, or stable coins, for example, right? Anything that can be tokenized can be used on the platform. And this is where Midnight gets really interesting because, it adds the whole privacy aspect to the platform. And as CJ said earlier, like the biggest issue in crypto has been that there hasn't been like this whole compliance and privacy aspect to it, right? And what happens in that scenario, or what has been happening, is that the so-called TradFi investors have just been kind of like blocked out from investing into crypto, because like a pension fund or something, right, who's looking for like traditional fixed yield markets, they're not going to dive into crypto unless there's some kind of compliance or like a privacy aspect, because like companies don't want their books to be public. So with Midnight you can have that compliance aspect. I know that there's like a few teams building this whole compliance like tooling that then you can integrate on your platform, and the privacy. So the idea is that we start with Cardano, expand from there to the different tokens that generate yield on Cardano. Once Midnight is ready, then we'll obviously integrate Midnight, and through Midnight, then we can gain access to like the whole like anything to do with cross-chain, real stable coins, like USDT, USDC, Ethereum, Bitcoin, you name it, right? And regarding like the RWA stuff, it's on our to-do list because we at Titans we own a lot of Bitcoin miners, right? We've got 2 Bitcoin farms up and running, one in the United States and one in Asia. So one of the interesting things could be that people who own like our Titan token or our NFTs that generate income through the Bitcoin miners, like we could further tokenize that revenue. And there's a lot of other projects and people that we know that have a lot of Bitcoin miners and run projects to do with that. So that's on our to-do list to try to tokenize that and make the future yield tradable. And as you said, like Bitcoin, real estate, anything. You've probably followed like on Solana and Ethereum, RWA markets are huge. It's kind of
Yeah.
like the upcoming narrative in 2026. They're saying so. This is something that we've been speaking with the Midnight guys, because we've got a partnership with them, and we have access to the entire team, and we have meetings here and there, and we're discussing all these different concepts. And RWAs were one of the things that Ian Kane, the head of partnership, was always kind of like talking to me about, that you guys should kind of like focus on that front, because he sees that as being like the next big thing.
It's kind of like a subtle hint. It's like, RWA, are you doing anything? It's pretty exciting stuff. Go do it. Okay. Oh, that's really good to hear. It's exciting to see the direction where you guys are going, and that you're actually following the market trends and where the institutional money will potentially come from as well. So that's absolutely exciting. Now, talking about partnerships, you got that partnership with Midnight, and you're working closely with the team there, as you were saying. Do you have any other partnerships with other ecosystem projects, other names that people may recognize?
Yeah, for sure. So naturally, we've got a partnership with the Titans themselves, because we've got an existing investor base and an existing revenue-generating ecosystem that can be incorporated. But I would say that probably Iagon is the biggest partner. Together with Iagon, we're going to look into splitting the yield from staked Iagon, and that has been a bit of a pain point for all the Iagon holders, because with their staking mechanism, you have to wait for 12 months until you begin receiving yield, right? So our platform can solve like a problem for those holders, right? And it's something on our to-do list. So we'll begin with ADA, and then we'll start incorporating bit by bit all these different tokens. So, with Cardano, we have everyone's our target audience. Then we get the entire Iagon community, our own community, and then, we can move forward from there. So, Midnight and Iagon are our biggest partners, and we're on ongoing talks with other projects that are building or that have like revenue generating tokens or plans to build something to do with revenue generating.
Okay. Has to be a revenue generating project. Gotcha. Okay. Excellent. All right. So where are you guys up to with everything then? So I'm really excited about all these partnerships and everything that you guys are building. When can people get to an MVP, test out the platform, be more excited? And I know a lot of this is also dependent on the Midnight roadmap as well, and when they're launching their blockchain. So what do the timelines look like at the moment? So
in essence, the development process right now, we're aiming for a 5 milestone launch, and we're already on milestone 3. Our developers, again, at Firework have been nothing but phenomenal. They were recommended to us by the Midnight team themselves. So in essence, right now, we're working on the AMM smart contracts, the key structures that allow us to convert, like I mentioned before, a PT and a YT, converting into a CSY, and then into the unwrapping it into a native ADA, or at maturity period, 1 PT for 1 CSY at maturity, and then into native ADA as well. And so each milestone roughly takes about a month. And so, like I said, we're on milestone 3 of 5, with milestone 4 finishing up the token protocol with smart contracts, creating the complete validator on chain, with milestone 5 being a testnet deployment, and then a few weeks, at most a month, but that's like worst case scenario, like everything breaks, the development integration roadmap goes to down hell. Mainnet will be coming soon after that. So ideally a early Q2 launch for the full mainnet, along with further integrations going from there. That 5th milestone is only the beginning of the track to ongoing success. We have a lot of integrations and features planned from there. The native MVP will just be ADA, and then we'll be scaling to Iagon, or any of the other Titans will be another one, obviously, down the road. And then as Midnight integration will be coming later, ideally after we get all those things going as well. The architecture is completely built to be compatible with both as well, though. Great. Okay. Exciting stuff, guys. Now, there's a lot of terms here. Yield tokens, principal tokens, I've forgotten the terms now. That's all right. Obviously, the community's got to learn about what you guys are building and how it all works. Where can we join you guys? Is there going to be educational material, courses, anything else that we can pick up and learn about what you guys are doing? Yeah, actually. So the best place to get the most up-to-date information is by following us on X at Atlas_DeFi_. I'm sure we'll send you a link for that. And
Yep,
joining
links
our
below.
Discord. Yeah, exactly. And joining our Discord as well. Links below. Those are the sources of truth, for better or worse. So that will have everything that you'll need there. And we actually have already started on the educational grind. We've been posting informative videos that explain these concepts in much more easy to digest forms, like little bite-sized chunks, along with when we hit any given milestone or we have something that we can show to the community. We have been doing this with Titan, so we'll continue it with Atlas. We do a little quick little video, just kind of here's the update, here's what you can expect, here's how you actually use it, kind of like a step-by-step guide with visuals, graphics, and things to kind of show the user journey from start to finish. So we'll be continuing that as the product continues to development, because clearly, obviously, this is not the most normal use case. It's kind of niche, so we want to make sure that everyone can understand it and understand the value of it, because everyone has if you own ADA, you can use Atlas. Our consumer base is everybody.
Yeah.
The key thing with any kind of like product or platform is simplification, right? So with Titans, we've been, I would say, the kings of simplification. A lot of the stuff that has been kind of like confusing for a lot of people. It's like, oh, is it that simple, really? So
That's
we'll
great.
try to we'll try to do the same thing with this protocol.
I'll put all the links, everything that we've talked about down below in the show notes. So if you're following along on the video, check out the links, follow the team, learn a little bit more about what the protocol is doing, and to keep in contact with them so you know when everything is launching and you can start playing around with the platform. But guys, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It's been a pleasure talking to you both and learning more about what the platform has to offer.
Thank you. It's been awesome.
Hey, thank you so much, Pete.
Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell on your way out, guys. And make sure you follow the team here at Atlas as well. All right, I'll see you all in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.